Hello, everyone. This is Jaime Buckley with Life of Fiction, the podcast, and we are back with Season 2, Episode 27. And I am so happy to say that we are finally back in business. It has... First of all, I apologize. I have one heck of a head cold, but we're going to try this anyway. We had the challenge with the infection or the hacked equipment that we were using here at the tavern, and it came down to me being willing to use my Mac Mini and the other equipment that I had. So we've just replaced it for now. The previous equipment from Höbin has been repurposed, and so I'm providing my Mac equipment until Höbin returns. But that also means that we have a limited communication ability with Höbin and others. That's unfortunate, but we're going to work with what we've got, and that's okay. That also kind of lets the secret out that we still have not really heard back from Höbin. He's been out and, well, he's trying to figure what is going on in Clockwork City. And when I came to the tavern, I was given a thumb drive with a message attached to it, and I want to be able to play that for you in this episode so we can hopefully get a little more information of what's going on with Höbin and why he's been gone for so long. And so let's start with our intro music. You know, this season has been quite the challenge. A lot because I haven't been able to stay in contact with Höbin for quite some time. His participation with Life of Fiction has been spotty at best. And that's because there has been some upset in the community of Clockwork City. And for those of you who are new to our podcast, that's a community of 1.5 billion gnomes. And the whole purpose behind the FAF, or the Fishes Archive Foundation, is to collect world information and provide that to the gnome populace. And Höbin's job is incredibly important. And so when his job stopped and he was not able to communicate with specific individuals that are and have been his colleagues for years, that concerned him. So he went to investigate, and he has yet to return. He's checked in a few times. He's participated a little bit in the comments over at Life of Fiction, but I wanted to be of some kind of help. There were some challenges with the podcast. We were being watched and monitored where I was at the coffee shop, and so it was suggested that I move here to the tavern outside the realm of being watched from my own people. And so here I am, and yet we have not been able to officially sit down and do this podcast together. So I was told a few episodes ago that I would be given a little bit more information, and I was given a thumb drive from one of Wood's employees here when I got here. And it says that this is a message from Cat Dumblin. Now, I don't know Cat. I know that she is a handler. Someone is, I think, if I understand correctly, it's kind of like a manager, maybe, for a writer where we come from. And they organize the jobs, they edit the jobs, and submit information from field agents to the FAF and make sure that the field agents are paid. She works under the, well, not under, how would I say this? She covers, and her field agent cover organized crime, which I find interesting, because we're in a situation where it seems like all of Höbin's colleagues are hiding. So I have this thumb drive. I have loaded this onto my laptop, and so I'm going to include this in the podcast. I will be listening at the same time that you do. So let's have a listen and see what Kat has to say.
Hello, Jamie. This is Cat. Höbin told me you and your listeners needed some fundamental understanding of the FAF and what's going on in Clockwork City. I'm not necessarily a supporter of Höbin's method of information distribution, but he's aided me more than once. That and he's the only member of the field team that can drink me under the table. He's called in a marker, so I'll tell you what I can. Too many are asking the wrong questions. We all started wondering what was going on at the FAF because we work there. We report to them and furnish them with content which is refined and then distributed to the public. There are over 100 handlers who work with the top 500 field researchers for the FAF in every area of knowledge that you could imagine. So with all the changes being made in the FAF right now, why is it only affecting the top 7 handlers and their fishes? For those unfamiliar with the term, fishes is our name for field scribe historians. The changes in policy and the change in management don't matter. Höbin can do his job, regardless of who's in charge, as can the rest of us. The question we should be asking ourselves is, why are they changing the jobs and questioning the information the top 7 teams have already collected and published? If you take a careful look at what our teams cover, you'd discover society-shifting topics. Think about this. Organized crime, artifacts, notable personalities, questionable events, magic logistics, deniability, and then there's Höbin, who covers topics of the greatest importance under specialized. He and his colleagues collect and distribute information on topics that challenge social standards. If you really think about it, we get gnomes to question. Anyone can craft a narrative, but the FAF produces the cleanest truth. So gnomes have the ability to make their own educated decisions. That flow of information is what's being threatened. The public has yet to notice the wars being waged behind closed doors of major corporations. Tech companies gobbling up competitors isn't anything new. It's the law of the corporate jungle. But if you watch the buyouts, the shell corporations being formed to sidestep regulatory laws, you'll notice that all these efforts are to take over the 2 greatest information giants of our society, the FAF and WHRN. The greatest information database and the greatest independent media company to share that information. Both companies have a solid foothold in every home, school, and can be accessed by any digital device connected to the system. Phones, tablets, computers, cybernetic modifications, even our vehicles. Control those 2 companies, and you control the flow of information. Control the flow of information, and you can control the population. Sorry to be the bringer of bad news, but that's what we're fighting, and Höbin's got a giant target on his back. What the plan is, I don't know. I can say this. Our teams have faced too many dangers in our careers to fall for this simple, aggressive tactic. With the exception of Micah Stoker, the rest of us are all hiding. Micah, sadly, was found dead in his flat. The reports being spread are that he OD'd on pain meds for his back surgery, but don't believe it. Micah was a fighter and a lover of life. I do find it a sign, though, that we question his death, and he was the handler for questionable events. Well, that's all I've got for you, Jamie. Höbin speaks highly of you, so get this information out to the world. The more people know that the media companies are using their resources to manipulate the population, the better chance we have of turning this around. Stay free. Record everything. Good luck.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, so we have the same type of situation with Clockwork City that, well, that our world has always had. People that are in power and that have influence well, I shouldn't say always, that's incorrect. Oftentimes are trying to exert their influence to control the population or to control the narrative. Wow, I thought that would be completely different here in this world. Huh. Okay, so we know what, well, at least we have a better idea of what Höbin's striving to do, and that is to get to the bottom of exactly who is manipulating what. And I know that Höbin's main focus has always been getting truth out to everyone. That's why he works so hard and strives so hard to uncover the mysteries of this world and make them available, so he can educate the young and provide enough information for everyone to make their own decisions. And that's something that I've always supported myself. It's what I strive to do with the youth. So, all right, we will wait on Höbin, and I wonder if there's something more that I can do for him. Anyway, if anyone has any comments or questions about that, go ahead and leave that with the post over at Life of Fiction. We do have a question from a reader, and I really appreciate this, from Bradley, and it is, how do you approach world building when you start a new project? Huh. Well, Bradley, that is a very good question, and let me go over that for you. Here's the thing. When I have a new project, a new story that I want to create, I always start with a character. I always start with someone that I will either love or that I will love to hate, and this needs to be a main character. Somebody that you, the reader, are going to be involved with, and create the type of personality that you will invest the time and invest your emotions in. And I do that by making sure that they have a purpose. They have to have a purpose. So I craft goals. I will give them dreams, hopes, skills, flaws, fears, and weaknesses. I really strive to flesh these individuals out and give them life. Things that, well, when I really consider, and this goes with any character actually, I try to consider what will resonate with readers. Then next, I flesh out an end goal event. Now, this might sound weird to a lot of people, but I start stories by creating the ending first. I don't know if that's weird. I don't know if that's normal. It just makes sense to me. All right. So I will flesh out an end goal event at the end of the story. This is what the final experience for my readers will be. And how is the main character going to be connected to this event, or how will they pull it off? So this ending event is the influence through the entire story. And then once I have an ending event, I craft the initial event or the introductory event. Then everything else, once I have that little creative bubble, I guess we could call it, that's when I am able to look at the timeline from the first event to the final event of the story. And the story itself will tell me what needs to happen from the beginning to get to that final event. And that's what tells me what kind of world building I need to do. Does that make sense? So I hope that helps. And Bradley, thank you for the question. I think that was a good question. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me or Höbin or anyone else here from Life of Fiction, you can go ahead and email us at hello@lifeoffiction.com, and in the subject line, just put question for podcast, and I'll answer it here on the podcast. I would like to encourage you to stop by lifeoffiction.com and subscribe. It's completely free. And we have not only this podcast, but we have weekly articles and artwork and quite a bit of fun participation between our community members. So tell a friend about us and come on over and sign up for lifeoffiction.com. Well, thank you for listening to this episode, and keep your fingers and I don't know, maybe even some toes crossed for Höbin. And remember, you are more than you think you are. You are. And we will see you next time. Bye.